What is going on, everybody? AHS Rules back again with another video, and we're here for another Ring of Honor TV review. We're 21 days out till April 5th, aka the date of Ring of Honor Supercard of Honor. And if you watched last week's review, it was a very quick review, and I went straight to the point where I'm like, hey, can we just start building the cards of Supercard of Honor? And, that started tonight because we had 2 matches for the event announced that we will talk about a little bit later on. And, to be fair, like I said, wasn't the biggest fan of last week's episode. This week was a upgrade, definitely. So let's get right into it with a women's TV title tournament quarterfinal matchup, Diamante versus Billie Starkz. A series of quick pins between the two start the match, leading to the two brawling to the outside. Diamante targets the neck of Starkz after a chokehold and a neck breaker. Starkz then takes a big risk by hitting 3 tope suicidas to the outside. It's back and forth after this, including a chaos theory by Diamante that leads to a 2 count. And then the two exchange forearms. Diamante hits a Shiragore for a 2 count. Starkz hits a swan dive for a 2 count, but follows this up with a half Nelson crossface to advance to the semi-final matchup, and we'll find out who her opponent is in the semifinals later on in the episode. Next matchup is Aaron Solo versus Lee Johnson. Aaron Solo spends a lot of time shaking people's hands, abiding to the code of honor, shakes Lee Johnson's hand, he shakes the fans at ringside, he's making a bit joke of it, and this fuels Big Shotty to land a big drop kick. To be fair, nothing really happens until Johnson starts his comeback, including a dive to the outside and a blue thunder bomb for a 2 count. Solo fights back after landing a spinning kick and then hits a diving foot stomp. Both led to 2 counts. Then Johnson lawn darts Solo into the corner and follows it up with the elevated reverse DDT to pick up the victory. One episode, it was called the Shot Drop. That is a great name. Ever since that episode, that was weeks ago, they have not called it that. They always call it the elevated reverse DDT. So Lee Johnson picks up another victory. So we'll see if that leads to anything. It should. He's got a lot of victories. Next matchup is a 4-corner survival match in the women's division. Robin Renegade versus Lady Frost versus Kiera Hogan versus Legit Layla Hirsch. Robin tries to attack all of them in the beginning, but then gets attacked by all 3 of them. The numbers game is bound to add up at some point, and it did very quickly. Layla shows a lot of aggression, including a chokehold on Robin. Kiera lands a lot of super kicks. Frost lands a cartwheel cannonball for a 2 count, and then Hogan lands the Face the Music on Robin to pick up the victory. Next matchup is a proving ground match. Athena versus Aisha. Aisha is able to slam Athena, but then gets pushed off of the second rope after attempting a dive. From there, Athena takes her to the outside and throws her around a lot out there. Once back in the ring, Aisha hits a choke slam for a 1 count. Athena slams Aisha around some more and then wins the matchup with an abdominal stretch. After the match, winning the match was not enough for Athena. She attacks Aisha with the ring steps. And then Athena is disappointed and offended that the Ring of Honor Women's Division, she has went through everybody. She even said that Nyla Rose, she could have challenged her again, but she is not. And she is disappointed and, again, offended that the Women's Division would instead want another championship, the Women's TV title. We've had this tournament for the last 2-ish plus months. And she is offended, and she is opening the door to anybody in the Ring of Honor Women's Division and just any women's division in general, and someone from the AEW women's division takes note of this. That person is Hikaru Shida, and she accepts Athena's challenge, and they have a matchup set for Supercard of Honor. I will have in the thumbnail, women's title match is set for Supercard of Honor because I already created a thumbnail with that involved in it. So Athena versus Hikaru Shida. Commentary made note of it. Several people have made note of it, so I will make note of it. You could say the best Ring of Honor Women's Champion versus AEW's best Women's Champion. It's going to be a tall task come April 5th. And I'll say, the main reason I made the note earlier, hey, we're 21 days out to it. That is a long-ass time. I thought Supercard of Honor was going to be here in like 2-ish weeks. No, that's 3 weeks from now. So we still got a ways to go before that happens. Next matchup is a 6-man tag, Top Flight and Action Andretti versus the Iron Savages and Jack Jameson. We start the match off with the Savage Sauce versus the Water Chug that is done by Action Andretti. So they have a chug off, Action Andretti, and I believe it was Bronson. It was not Boulder. And Andretti quickly wins this. To be fair, Water versus we don't even know what the hell the damn Savage Sauce is. So, there's a bit of an advantage there. But Andretti wins this chug off, and this leads to the Iron Savages being very mad about this, and an intense start with Dante and Bronson starting the match as the first two legal competitors. The Iron Savages keep Darius in their corner for majority of this match. The tide turns once Dante is tagged back in. Andretti lands a standing shooting star press, and Dante hits a frog splash to pick up the victory. Next matchup. This was such an interesting matchup, this next one. And, I use interesting as a good or bad thing. I like the competitors that are in the match, but it was very much a WTF matchup. Nick Camarado and Jacoby Watts versus the Workhorsemen. Sneak attack by the Workhorsemen to start the match, and this leads to Camarado and Drake being the first two legal competitors. And Camarado is double teamed for the whole match. Literally the whole match. Jacoby Watts does not get involved in this match whatsoever, and the Workhorsemen win with Anthony Henry landing a foot stomp. And like I said, it was I had no clue what was going on, but then after the matchup, it made a little bit more sense because Jacoby Watts was looking at Nick Camarado, upset, that he didn't get involved, and disappointed in Nick Camarado. So I wonder if this will lead to anything. Who knows? Who really freaking knows? So I like the Workhorsemen, so I'm not trying to complain about it, but I didn't like this whatsoever. But I like the Workhorsemen. Shout out to them. Next matchup, Lance Archer versus Darian Bingst. Such a very interesting name that I botched it. Darian attempts a Hurricanrana but gets caught into a powerbomb. He rolls to the outside where he meets Jake Roberts, who Ian Riccaboni can't make it. Hey, this is Jake Roberts' first appearance in Ring of Honor, first appearance, and he lands a right hand on Darian, and Archer wins the match after hitting a choke slam and a blackout. That being said, I do not... Well, what's the best way to put it? I wish that they would kind of confirm more the relationship between Archer and the Righteous, because it just seems like some weeks they're like, oh, they're a group, they're a trio, and then there's just some weeks where it's just Lance Archer on his own, and he has no relationship with the Righteous. I wish we can get a little bit more confirmation with that, but that's just me nitpicking. Next, we had a backstage interview with Taya Valkyrie where she was talking about being a boy mom and taking care of formerly Dalton Castle's boys. And then speaking of Dalton Castle, he interrupts and says that she don't know nothing about it. She don't know nothing about the boys. And Taya Valkyrie said that he is crazy and that the boys have changed and security has to carry him away. Next matchup is the last women's TV title tournament quarter final matchup, Mercedes Martinez versus Abaddon. Abaddon immediately attacks to start the match, taking it to the outside, and then once back of the ring, Martinez has the advantage. Abaddon fights out of a Boston Crab to hit a cutter. Martinez lands an Anarchy suplex on the outside. Abaddon then bites Martinez and lands a Tornado DDT for a 2 count. And then Martinez wins the matchup with a Fisher Woman suplex. But it was very blink and you miss it. But someone in a black hooded, you could not very much see it, hit Abaddon. That led to Martinez hitting the Fisher Woman suplex. And we come to later find out that it was Diamante. Like I said, it's blink and you miss it. So Martinez advances, and the last matchup, or I almost messed it up completely. Martinez will advance to face Billy Starks in the women's TV title tournament, and the other semifinal matchup is Red Velvet and Queen Aminata. So I have no clue when those will take place, but we shall see. Next matchup is another 4-corner survival match. This one being Slim J versus Jack Cartwheel versus AR Fox versus Commander. These, I feel, we've probably seen this matchup before, because these 4 competitors are constantly in the 4-corner survivals, and they even make note that, hey, Commander's on a roll. He wins all his 4-corner survival matches. So if we've seen this match before, we probably have. But, it's always craziness and a good matchup. Slim J, though, did not want any part of it, and he tries to go to the outside, but he gets hit with a dive by AR Fox. He then gets his revenge, what's back in the ring, hitting AR Fox, and then eventually Jack Cartwheel in the man area. A series of pins and frog splashes take place. Commander lands a springboard codebreaker on Cartwheel on the apron, and then Fox and Slim J take him out. Commander and Cartwheel then try to slam one another, but they are cartwheeling around on the stage. And then Commander is able to continue his streak in four-corner survival matches, winning with the rope walk shooting star press. I almost said the standing shooting star press, but that's not what it was. So Commander wins again. Now, to that other match for Supercard of Honor. Eddie Kingston, who, I was going to kick off this review talking about this matchup, but, I'm going to lump it in right here now. But Eddie Kingston has a match this next week on Dynamite for the Continental Crown against Kazuchika Okada, and he talks about it. But he also wants to set up his match for Supercard of Honor for the Ring of Honor World Championship. And there was a man last year that was supposed to get a Ring of Honor World title match that didn't due to injury. That man is Mark Briscoe, and so Eddie Kingston is obliging that. So we'll be getting Eddie Kingston versus Mark Briscoe for the Ring of Honor World Championship at Supercard of Honor. And of note, Ian Riccaboni made note on X/Twitter, whatever the hell you want to call it. April 5th is the exact date that Jay Briscoe won his first Ring of Honor World Championship at the same event, Supercard of Honor. Now, I'm excited about that match. I'll talk about it again in a minute. I want to talk about Eddie Kingston and Kazuchika Okada. So, I don't know how this Continental Crown Championship works, because it just seemingly keeps changing. Because they made specific note on Dynamite that next week's match, Kingston and Okada, is specifically for the Continental Championship, the AEW, the one that is just the AEW title. And I have my theory and suspicion, but I have my theory that Okada's going to win, and they did not want to lump the Ring of Honor World Championship with him, and better yet, the New Japan Strong Openweight Championship with him, because he literally just left New Japan. He's done interviews. I don't know the full context, but he's like, I just left New Japan. I don't want to deal with New Japan. It would have been hilarious that your first 2 to 3 weeks into the next company you're in, you win a New Japan Championship. So I think that's why they're specifically making of note that this match is strictly for that championship. I like the concept of the Triple Crown, but, kind of seems that it might go away if, all these titles are getting split up. So that was just me making it up. Also, the main reason I have an issue with it is that, I wanted to see Okada in Ring of Honor, compete in Ring of Honor. That way I got to talk about it because, I'll make note if he wins next week on Dynamite, but, it's not as big as a deal because he's not winning and walk away with the Ring of Honor title. So, again, they could line up. I saw a theory on Twitter that immediately got thrown out of the window, but it's they could do this first match on Dynamite, have a ROH World title match at Supercard of Honor, and then have the third matchup at AEW Dynasty for all the championships. Like I said, I like the idea. Doesn't mean anything now because Eddie Kingston has another match for Supercard of Honor, so I'm just spewing on about stuff. Back to Eddie Kingston and Mark Briscoe. It has been a minute since Eddie Kingston has competed on Ring of Honor television, but anytime I say that, I always make the note that he literally has 2 other championships he has to worry about, so I kind of understand it. But it's been a long time coming for Mark Briscoe to win singles gold in Ring of Honor, and we were expecting it at last year's Supercard of Honor. It didn't happen. 1 year later, for a bigger championship, can that be the case? We shall see. It should be a good matchup nonetheless, so those are the first 2 matchups for Supercard of Honor, April 5th. Athena versus Hikaru Shida for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship, and Eddie Kingston versus Mark Briscoe for the Ring of Honor World Championship. We have 21 more days to make this an actual Supercard, and now we get to our main event matchup, the one that, again, I probably put in the thumbnail of the video. Cole Carter and Griff Garrison versus Trent Beretta and Orange Cassidy. Very rarely on issue. It's not even really an apology. I'm making a note of it. I did not know Cole Carter and Griff Garrison were going against Trent Beretta and Orange Cassidy till this actual episode, because, again, it's the last time I'll say thumbnail. But in the thumbnail, it says Trent Beretta and Orange Cassidy in action. And most of the time when Ring of Honor says, so, for example, Lance Archer in action, it's a very quick matchup. It's a squash match, let's just say it. So, this was not a squash match. This was a 10-ish minute match. So, I don't know why they didn't do it. I also like when they do the squash matchup graphics that they make it like different. So like Athena like comes out of like a galaxy and then is standing in it. Like Lance Archer like breaks through a wall. And then with this one, Orange Cassidy, like I'm going to imagine he drew himself and Trent. And I'm going to guess the other guy, because there's 3 silhouettes and Chuck Taylor's the other one because he did accompany them to ringside. So this is me spending way too much time talking about freaking a match graphic. Before the match happened, earlier in the night, Cole Carter and Griff Garrison did make note that this is their biggest matchup to date. I'm going to guess also that means tag team matchup because Maria interrupted and said, hey, Griff, y'all are very young. Y'all are my baby boys. She always refers to them as her baby boys. Hey, Griff, you had a big matchup on Collision against Adam Copeland. Remember that match? Yeah, and you lost, and we ain't been back on Collision since. And I laughed. I really laughed. You know, I found that stuff funny. So they need to make good of this main event matchup tonight. Cassidy and Carter are the first 2 to start this match. The members of the Best Friends have the advantage early until Maria causes a distraction. Trent gets trapped in his opponent's corner. Cole Carter tries to hit a 450 splash, but Trent moves out of the way. Maria does a lot more distractions, but it does not matter. Beretta hits a pile driver, and Cassidy hits an orange punch on Cole Carter, with Trent and Orange Cassidy winning the matchup. After the matchup, the Spanish Announce Project, Angelico and Serpentico appear and try to attack Cole Carter and Griff Garrison, and they're doing successful, and they try to get the match back from Maria, and then Maria ends up low-blown, or they both get low-blown. I'm pretty sure Maria low-blowed Serpentico, and then Angelico got low-blowed at some point, and Maria, Cole Carter, and Griff Garrison are still able to escape with the mask. And the show ends with the Orange Cassidy, the Best Friends, hugging SAP. While you see Tony Khan standing on the stage, like, because this is the last match of the show, you know, he normally comes out and does like a farewell to the crowd. Also, hilarious. This is hilarious, you know. I'm exaggerating. It was funny to me. But Ian Riccaboni's like, oh, we're getting to hear Jane. We're getting to hear Jane on Honor Club. Nope, they were playing the Best Friends song, so they tuned that out. I laughed at that a lot. I'm smirking thinking about it, so it is hilarious. So, like I said, this was a better episode of ROH than last week. I will say that, definitely. I just mainly wanted matches announced for Supercard of Honor, and we've got 2. So this time next week, hopefully we got more. Hopefully we got 4. Hopefully we got the whole card. I would love if they announced the whole card, but, you know, that's just me being too needy. You know, one step at a time. So thank you for watching this video. This is a long-ass review, but, you know, we had a lot to cover, so there's that. So, again, thank you for watching it. Please like and subscribe. And I'll see you in the next one.